When it comes to 3D printed blasters, there is one thing that I absolutely love to see, and that is modularity. And there's a designer that goes by Hing Yip that has been designing some really cool stuff. Blasters such as this, the Hildolfr. And what makes this blaster so special is all the things you can do with it. Now, Hing Yip has used a modular core design similar to FlyCore that gives him the ability to take that standardized core design and put them into other blasters, which is just great for design and development. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Now, before we talk about the Hildolfr, we should go back and talk about some of the earlier designs from Hing Yip. I was first introduced to his designs with the Arctic Wolf 767, which was a Delta Trooper pump action kit that I reviewed on the channel. The Arctic Wolf really showcased the design ability of Hing Yip, and I was excited to see what other stuff he came up with. And sure enough, there's a ton of other things. He then went on to design various Raven kits, a bullpupped Nerf retaliator, and finally he developed the Wolf Core, which we then start to see in a lot of his designs after that. We have the Cyrus, a bullpupped Talon-accepting P90-esque blaster that looks phenomenal. And then he developed the Hildolfr, and that's what we're going to check out today. So this blaster gets its name from the Gundam universe. In particular, there's one super heavy artillery mobile tank known as the YMT TAC-05 Hildolfr. Now, although this blaster does not really resemble this mechanized war machine, I'm sure there's some reasons as to why Hing Yip has chosen this name to represent this blaster. Now, in the Gundam universe, the Hildolfr is basically a Swiss Army knife of a tank, and with the modularity and all the features of this blaster, I can make some correlations between the two. And that's pretty much the backstory of this blaster. Let's go ahead and look at some of its features and check out its performance. So this blaster right here is built out for our 150 FPS games. So we chose a single stage. This is running on Adadart's Kraken motors with Kevlar wheels. Now the Wolf Core does use a different pusher motor than the FlyCore design. As you can see with the FlyCore, they use this type of N20 motor, whereas the Wolf Core uses a 90-degree motor. In addition, the Wolf Core has an on and off switch, which he so cleverly integrated it into this charging handle. So you can turn the blaster off, and then of course, turn it on. So starting from the front of the blaster, we have a muzzle system that you can actually unscrew this front. You can use a different muzzle. There's one that actually has a B-car. This one is just the standard one without a B-car. This front end has different options. You can change that out. I know there's a dual stage version of this blaster. And if you purchase the file set, you will get all the different files to print the various options, which is really nice. The magwell is compatible with all the Talanoid type of magazines. So obviously the Coda magazine from Adadarts, we have the XYL magazine, Worker magazines, and others that fit that geometry. This pistol grip right here is very slender. It feels really good, and the trigger is extremely responsive. And overall, the ergonomics of this blaster is just phenomenal. And of course, if you don't like it, there are so many options with this system. You can just change stuff out. Now, there is one feature that I'm not too crazy about, and that is the battery. As we can see here, we are using a very small 3S LiPo, and with the current setup of this blaster, I don't have a ton of room for the battery. Now, in single stage, this isn't too big of a problem, but I could see this blaster getting pretty thirsty when you run the dual stage variant. Like I mentioned earlier, we built this blaster out to be sub 150 FPS for our local games, and as you can see on the chronograph readings, this blaster is clocking in at under 150 FPS. So when talking about this blaster's performance, I would say that the shots could have a little tighter grouping. I think having the B-car installed would help with this. And also, I have to say, the trigger pull and how responsive this blaster is very satisfying. I got to play with this at a local war, and I'd have to say in its current setup, this blaster would be phenomenal in more of a CQB type of game. So in closing, what are my final impressions of the Hildolfr by Hing Yip? I think this is an outstanding platform. I am really excited to see where this goes. Everything I've seen from the Wolf Core design has been really cool. And as we take a closer look at this blaster, I actually want to build another variant of this with the dual stage and the B-car. The build instruction for this blaster and the file set is really easy to understand. I really like Hing Yip's attention to detail on how he puts his build instructions together. If you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that little notification bell so you can see when we make new content. There is a ton of stuff coming out and you don't want to miss any of it. As always, I'm DrFlux. Be safe and happy foam flinging.